So we'll resume our discussion on the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsinghadeva, and just waiting for the Facebook connection to go live. In the meantime, I'll do the Manglacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saguna Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saguna Lalita Shri Visakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpataru Bhayashchit Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangam Langyate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Deen Taranam Parmanandam Madhavam. Hare Krishna. So I wanted to start with reciting a famous verse by Prahlad Maharaj. Swastyastu Vishwasya Khala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodaya Manascha Bhadram Bhajata Dadoksajay Aveshatam no matirapyahi. Translation: May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in the thought of Him. Hare Krishna. Last time we had discussed about the setting of the scene, that how once upon a time the four Kumaras went to Vaikuntha. There they were stopped by Jai Vijay. They got upset. They cursed Jai Vijay. At that time Lord Vishnu came. He upheld the curse and gave them the option of either 3 births as a demon or 7 births as a devotees. They took the option of coming down as demons, for two reasons. One is they wanted to quickly resume their service. And second is that they understood that the Lord also has the desire to display his viryaras, his mood of chivalry. And they said there is nobody in the material world who can even put up a good fight for you, but we can. So as a service, they accepted this verse. Then later on, we see, and this happens during the reign of Chakshusha Manu, that the son of Prajapati Marichi, which is Kashyap Rishi, he is approached at an inauspicious time by his wife Diti, and even though he tries to dissuade her, she is not dissuaded, and say they unite. And as a result of that, Diti, she delivers twins, who essentially are the first incarnation of Jaya Vijaya. And they are Hirnaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And when they were born, there were a lot of inauspicious signs all over the universe. The planets started moving in retrograde orbits. Blood and stool and pus started raining from the sky. The animals started displaying inauspicious signs. So there was disturbance all over the universe. Then these two brothers, they perform austerities and get a lot of boons of mystic powers from Brahma. And based on that, they conquer the universe. They drive Indra out. And Hirnaksha, who out of his greed, so Hirnaksha means, Aksha means eyes and Hirna means gold. So Hirnaksha had only eyes for gold, or according to some, his eyes were golden colored. So it's said that he extracted so much gold from the earth planet that he caused it to fall into the Garbhodaga ocean. And that at that time, Lord Krishna incarnates as Varadev. And then he rescues Mother Earth, and there's a glorious battle that is fought between Varadev and Hirnaksha, which ends in the killing of Hirnaksha. So Hiranyakashipu, when he hears of his younger brother being killed, becomes very, very angry. And he resolves to perform more austerities till he's powerful enough to kill Lord Vishnu. So he goes and he starts performing severe austerities. So that's where we had ended. So we'll continue. So when the Devas, who were now in hiding out of fear of Hirnaksha and Hiranyakashipu, when they hear of Hiranyakashipu's resolve to perform even more severe austerities, they become alarmed. So once again they attack the forces of Hiranyakashipu, and even though he had many strong and able generals, but without the protection of Hiranyakashipu, the Devas were quickly able to defeat them. So they all abandoned their post and they went to different parts of the universe in hiding. So Indra and his associates, they captured the wife of Hiranyakashipu. Her name is Kayadu, and at that time she was pregnant with a child. So they captured her and they were taking her as a captive to their own abode. And at that time, they were intercepted by Narad Muni. And then Narad Muni said, "What are you doing? Why are you taking this helpless woman? This is not the recommended conduct of warriors and Kshatriyas." So the Kshatriyas, they fight with a strict code of conduct. That very, very rarely will they involve family members. Prabhupada gives the example of the Battle of Mahabharata, that when the Mahabharata battle was fought, it was fought in a secluded area, Kurukshetra, so that the non-combatants would be protected. And despite the fact that the fierce battle was raging, but the family members, they were still in congenial terms with one another. It is said that at the end of the battle, when the battle would finish, then the family members of the fallen warriors would come and they would console each other. At that time, they did not think that Pandav and Kaurav, and there was no, amongst the warriors also, there was never any attempt to harm the family members. As Prabhupada would say that in this age of Kali, the battles are so demoniac that the first thing that they do is that they try to harm the people who are not warriors. So they draw bombs, they drop bombs over cities, over where general populace is living. And he said that's the sign of degradation in the age of Kali. So Narad Muni chastised Indra that, "What are you doing? She's a mother. She's a woman. She's a mother. So you have captured her. You've arrested her." So Indra gets embarrassed, but then he says that we have no intentions of harming Kayadu, but we know that she carries the seed of Hiranyakashipu. And just like a tree will bear fruits similar to its own kind, we are also expecting this child to be like his father. So our plan is that we will hold her till the child is born, then we will kill the child. But we will not harm Kayadu. So Narad Muni said that, "My dear Indra, the child that is there in the womb of Kayadu is an exalted devotee of the Lord. Even if you try to kill him, you will not succeed because he is under the protection of the Supreme Lord. And he is therefore much more powerful than all of you. So you are better advised to cease." So when the Devas heard about this, then actually they were happy, because they're pious and they're always happy to welcome a devotee. So very respectfully, they released Kayadu. They actually circumambulated her, keeping her on their right-hand side as a show of respect, because she was carrying a devotee of the Lord, and then they left. So Kayadu requested for shelter from Narad Muni, saying that, "Without my husband, I'm without protection, and all my family members and armies have all dispersed. So if you can, please give me protection." And Narad Muni said, "Of course." So Narad Muni took Kayadu to her ashram. And then Kayadu asks Narad Muni for one more benediction. So she said that for now, the Devas, they have been pacified by what you say. But that may not be true after my son is born. So please give me this boon that until my husband returns, my son stays in my womb. And Narad Muni, of course, is a powerful transcendentalist. So he gives her that boon also. So that is why, even though Hiranyakashipu, he performed austerities for 36,000 years, Kayadu held the child in her womb for that period of time. And for that period of time, she stayed in the ashram of Narad Muni, which according to the Acharyas, that his ashram was in one of the forests of Vrindavan. General understanding is that he was in Madhuban. So one of the points that is raised is that we know from the Bhagavatam that Narad Muni himself had been cursed by Prajapati Daksha. And the reason he was cursed was that every time Prajapati Daksha would have sons, Narad Muni would come and preach to them, and he would make them renunciates. So Daksha was a Prajapati, and his service was to create progeny for the universe. And he had been benedicted by the Lord also to perform his service. So the first time he performed, after performing austerities, he had 10,000 sons, and he asked them to go forth and marry and have children. So while they were going forth, Narad Muni came, and then he started asking them questions. What is your future? What is the pleasure that you will get? And initially they started answering, but Narad Muni, being an expert preacher, he soon showed them the futility of material life. So the best thing for you to do is to pursue the path of transcendence right now. The more you get engrossed in this family life, children, etc., more difficult it will be for you to extricate yourself. So they all became disciples of Narad Muni. They gave up all desires to marry, and they became renunciates. So Daksha was very upset, but then once again he performed austerities, and he had 1,000 sons. And same instruction he asked them to do, and Narad Muni did the same thing. He went, he talked to them, and he convinced them to take to the path of transcendence. So now Daksha was very angry at Narad Muni, saying that you're interfering with my service. As a Prajapati, as a progenitor, my service is to increase the population of the universe. But if you keep convincing my sons to become renunciates, then essentially the lineage stops there and there only. So in anger, he cursed Narad that you will never be able to stay at one place for more than 3 days. You will constantly be traveling all over the universe. So the reason behind the curse was that if he can't stay at a place more than 3 days, then it'll be difficult for him to talk to people, convince them, change their mind. And of course, when Narad Muni heard about the curse, he was very happy. He said, this is wonderful. And now I don't need to stay at a place, so I can travel everywhere and spread the teachings and the name of the Lord, which is what Narad Muni does. We see that he's always traveling. He has his transcendental Veena, and he's like a one-man Sankirtan party, constantly traveling, singing the glories of the Lord. Sometimes he's with Parvat Muni, who's a close associate. Sometimes he's alone. So he actually accepted the the curse of Daksha as a benediction. But then the question comes that how did he stay in that ashram for 36,000 years along with Kayadu if he was cursed this way? And the acharyas say that because Daksha was material and his curse was material, its influence can only be felt in the material world. And because Vrindavan is not a part of the material world, it is a part of the spiritual world, the curse did not have any effect over there. So that is why Narad Muni could happily stay over there without having to worry about the curse of Daksha. Now, while Narad Muni was staying there, he was also preaching to Kayadu. That was the nature of Narad Muni. That he was 24/7 absorbed in Krishna Katha. And while he was preaching to Kayadu, Prahlad Maharaj, who was within the womb of Kayadu, was also listening to all the topics that were spoken by Narad Muni. So that is why Prahlad Maharaj considers Narad Muni to be his spiritual master. So in this way, 36,000 years went by, and Hiranyakashipu performed such severe austerities that by the power of his penances, he started burning down the entire universe. The heat that was emanating from his body, it was creating disturbances in the planetary systems. And the demigods, they were alarmed, and they came running to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma said, I know the cause of this disturbance. It is the demon Hiranyakashipu who is performing austerities in order to get boons from me. After which, he will create disturbance in the universe. He will create disturbances for you all. Now the Devas were aware of the prowess of Hiranyakashipu even before he had performed his austerities. But they said that we have no recourse. That if you do not give him the benedictions that he is asking for, then there will be no universe left for us to administer. Because his austerities are becoming more and more powerful. And anytime they can destroy the entire universe. So they begged Lord Brahma that please go and pacify the demon. So Lord Brahma went to Mount Mandara, where he was performing his austerities. And there he could see that Hiranyakashipu was standing with his arms outstretched in a yogic position. And over this prolonged period of time, his body had completely melted away. There was no flesh on his body. He was simply a skeleton. But by his yogic power, he kept his life hairs trapped within the skeleton. Anybody else would have died, but he, because of the powers that he acquired through yoga, he kept his life within the skeleton. So Lord Brahma, he sprinkled the water from his Kamandalu, is said to be the water of the Garbhodaka ocean, on Hiranyakashipu. And by the influence of that water, Hiranyakashipu was revived. And not only was he revived, he reappeared as a young and vibrant young man. And then seeing Lord Brahma, he immediately fell down flat and gave obeisances to him. So Lord Brahma said, my dear Hiranyakashipu, no one in the universe in the past has ever performed such austerities as you have, and no one will. So I am very pleased with your austerities. You can ask me for any benediction that you want. So Hiranyakashipu asks for the benediction of immortality. He says that, may I live forever. And Brahma says that I can only give you those benedictions that are within my power. Because I myself am mortal. I myself will eventually die. It's not within my power to give you the benediction of immortality. So other than that, ask for any other benediction. So then Hiranyakashipu, very cleverly, he asks for all those benedictions that in his mind he thinks will assure him of immortality. So he lays down a lot of conditions of his death. That may I die at a time when it is neither day nor night. I'm neither on the earth nor on the sky. I'm neither inside nor outside. May I not be killed by anything living or dead. May I not be killed by any weapons that have been manufactured by humans or rakshasas or asuras or devas. And Lord Brahma, he keeps saying, Tathastu, Tathastu. So Hiranyakashipu's plan of action was that he will stipulate so many conditions about his the circumstances around his death that it would be impossible for him to die. And then, of course, he also asks for many other material benedictions, that may I be undefeatable by devas or asuras or rakshasas, may I have all mystic powers, may I be able to withstand all these kinds of weapons. And Brahma gave him all that benedictions. And then after that, Brahma returns to Brahmaloka. So now Hiranyakashipu is revitalized. He was powerful to begin with, and now he is immensely more powerful. And he returns, and when his army and his associates hear about his return, they all come rushing back to be with Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu, once again, he goes around conquering the universe. So this time the devas, they don't even put up a fight. And when they hear that Hiranyakashipu is running, then Indra simply leaves his control and runs away, along with all the demigods. So Hiranyakashipu is once again ruling the entire universe. But now he is firmly convinced that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he stops all the performance of yajnas for Lord Vishnu and for the devas. So he said there is no need to perform yajnas for all of them. Only I should be the benefactor of the yajnas. So the devas, as we know, they draw sustenance from the oblations that are put in the yajnas. Right? In the chapter 3, Krishna makes this point to Arjun that this cycle of sustenance is that the humans, they eat the grains, from that they get vitality, they perform the yajna. By the yajna, the devas are pleased. When the devas are pleased, they provide with sufficient rain, and by the rain, the grains appear, and then that cycle of sustenance continues. That the devas provide the grain for the sustenance of the humans, and the humans perform the yajna for the sustenance of the devas. So now that Hiranyakashipu has put a stop to all the yajnas, the devas become weak. And as such, they have been defeated and they're fearful of Hiranyakashipu. So they all scatter around in the universe, and assuming various disguises, they begin to live in very pathetic conditions. I'm sorry, there was some message that came. Can you hear me? Am I still online?
Yes, Prabhu. We can hear you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I started getting a lot of messages. So, so the devas are hidden and disguised, and Hiranyakashipu is ruling the entire universe. And now that her husband is back, Kayadu also joins her husband, and she delivers her son by the name of Prahlad. So Hiranyakashipu was very happy to see his firstborn son, and that's why he was named Prahlad. So Ahlad means to make a sound of great happiness, an exclamation of happiness. And Prahlad is just an intensification of that. So Prahlad represents the strong affection and love that Hiranyakashipu displayed when he was born. Prahlad was born. So when Prahlad is born, then Hiranyakashipu, he wants to make sure that Prahlad gets the best education. Now, Prahlad is not the only son of Hiranyakashipu. It's mentioned that he has two more sons, I believe. Either two more sons or one more son. Prahlad and
I heard 4 sons, Prabhuji, total.
okay, Ravi Prabhu is always right. So
No,
I'll follow his.
sorry, Prabhuji.
No. Thank you. I didn't remember if it was one or two, but 4 is better than 1 or 2. So he had 4 sons and he had 1 daughter. And you remember the name of his daughter? It was Samas. What was the name of his daughter?
No, Prabhuji, I'm not aware.
So his daughter actually appears in Ramayana. So she is the demoness who stops the path of Hanuman when he is crossing over to Lanka.
Is she Surasa, Prabhuji?
Sursa, maybe. Name doesn't ring a bell, but maybe because she is the one that Hanuman killed. He went inside her. She had this benediction from Brahma that nobody could pass her without entering her mouth. So Hanuman enters into her mouth.
I think, Prabhu, her name is Singhika.
Simika, yes, thank you. Simika. So Simika was later on killed by Hanuman. So back to Prahlad, that Hiranyakashipu, as a doting father, he wanted to make sure that his son has the best education. So he puts him in the royal Gurukul that is run by the two sons of Shukracharya, Shand and Amarka. And with the instructions that they have to train him to become a worthy successor of his great father. So Prahlad, when he goes to the Gurukul, while he is a proficient student, but he does not seem to be very much interested in the teachings. So his conduct is described as being very respectful to his teachers and following their instructions, but he did not take them to heart. So once when Prahlad was back to his father, so his father affectionately, he takes Prahlad on his lap, and then he asks him, as parents do to young children who are studying, that what is it that you are studying? So the acharyas, they basically divide the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj in 4 conversations. 2 of the conversations are with his father, with Hiranyakashipu. 1 conversation is with his teacher, Shantanamarka, and 1 conversation is with the students at his Gurukul. And each of the conversation has a slightly different nuance. So we won't go into the details, but when there are seminars that are done on the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, then these 4, so Prahlad Maharaj was never actually teaching, except maybe to his friends where he was preaching. But the teachings are extracted from his responses to conversations. And the 5th source of his teaching is the famous prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsinghadeva. And they're all constructed in a way that they cover the entire gamut of devotional service, right from the beginning to maturity, including protecting from offenses, including making advancement, including how to enter into devotional service. And like I said, he does not really teach, in the sense he does not say, okay, this is bhakti, this is what it is, etc. They're all extracted from his conversations. And maybe someday we can do a deeper dive into it, but it is it's fairly deep. So we're back to Prahlad Maharaj. He's back to his father from the Gurukul. And Hiranyakashipu, he has taken Prahlad on his lap. Prahlad is 5 years old. And they ask him, what are you studying? And Prahlad Maharaj starts talking about the importance of spiritual life, the need to detach from material life, and the supremacy of Krishna. So how does Hiranyakashipu react to it? He starts laughing. And he says, oh, he's a small child and he has been misled, apparently. So small children, they are mostly not responsible for what they say. They tend to repeat what they have heard. They don't understand context. They don't understand relevance. They tend to just repeat sound bites they've heard. And that's what Hiranyakashipu assumed, that maybe there are my enemies who are the devotees of Vishnu who are poisoning my son. So they're telling him something, and the poor child is simply parroting and repeating what has been told. So he laughs, he pats the boy on his head, he calls Chandana Marka, and he says that you have to be careful because my enemies, these devotees of Vishnu, it looks like they have somehow been able to get to Prahlad, and they're poisoning his mind. He's just a child. So I want you to be extra careful. And Chandamak says, absolutely, absolutely. So they take back Prahlad Maharaj, and now they're even more careful. They make sure that they're teaching him all about the science of politics, the science of warfare, the science of ruling. And as mentioned, Prahlad Maharaj is always a dutiful son. So in this way, some time passes, and then it's again vacation time. So Prahlad Maharaj goes back to his house, and Hiranyakashipu once again asks him, what is it that you have been learning? And Prahlad Maharaj dutifully responds that the 9 forms of devotional service are Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Bandhan, Padasevan, Dasya, Atma Nivedan. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By now, Hiranyakashipu is upset. He's like, once it's okay, but this is becoming disturbing. So he's very, very angry. And and he says that the whole universe is accepting me as the Supreme Personality. So why is it that you cannot accept me? And Prahlad says that because it is not true. And the point that is made is very valid, that the powers that Hiranyakashipu got were not his own. He got it because of the benedictions of somebody else. So it stands to reason that the somebody else that who gave him the powers is more powerful than him. And then that somebody else is also under the protection of somebody else who is even more powerful. So Hiranyakashipu got all his powers by the benedictions of Brahma. And Brahma is under the protection of Lord Vishnu. So it's a very reasonable premise. But Hiranyakashipu is so intoxicated with power that he is unable to see this simple logic. That's the nature of pride. That when pride comes, then it completely clouds the ability of the person to think in a reasonable way. Because if you and I can see that, then Hiranyakashipu should also have been able to see that yes, to begin with, I didn't have powers. I performed some austerities and Brahma gave me some powers. Then I went and I performed even more austerities and Brahma gave me some more powers. So I'm getting these powers from somebody else, and that somebody else is openly advertising that I'm under the protection of somebody else. And that somebody else is Brahma, is Lord Vishnu. So how can I consider that I am more powerful than Lord Vishnu? But he did. He was so vested in that This is a pastime that appears in Garg Samhita, that the six sons of sage Marichi were once cursed because of Vaishnava Prad. So there's a pastime in which Brahma, he becomes infatuated by his daughter, and these 6 sons of Marichi, who were sages, they started laughing at him. And because of the offense to a Vaishnava, they were cursed to take birth in the family of demons. And they were actually born as sons of Kalnemi. So Kalnemi is one of the sons or descendants of Hiranyakashipu, and they were born as the son of Kalnemi demon. But because of their purvaras, because of their prior they were sages, they were inclined to perform austerities. So even though they were born in a demoniac family, they quickly took to performing austerities to please Lord Vishnu. And when Hiranyakashipu came to know about it, he became very angry. And he said that I am the Supreme Lord. If you want any benedictions, you get it from me. Because what Hiranyakashipu had done was that when he had taken over the control of the universe, he was actually performing the function of all the devas. Because the devas he had kicked out, and we know the devas, they perform various functions in the universe. Suryadev gives light, Vayudev is wind, Indradev gives rain. And when all the presiding deities had gone, still the affairs of the universe were continuing, because Hiranyakashipu was personally doing all of it. So he says, I'm personally running the whole universe. So why do you have to pray to anybody else when I am there? And he cursed them, that because of this, you will be killed by your own father. And because of the curse of Hiranyakashipu, this 6 sons of Marichi, they were then born as the 6 sons of Devaki. And Kalanemi, he appeared as Kamsa. So we see in the Krishna pastime, when Kamsa kills the 6 sons of Devaki, he's actually killing his own sons from the previous lifetime. They're known as the Sadgarbhas. So Hiranyakashipu had that mentality, that I am the Supreme Lord, everything should be done only for my benefit, any oblation should be made only for me. So when Prahlad started speaking like this, he said this is a very dangerous precedent. So he ordered his soldiers to kill him. And then in the Bhagavatam, it is explained that through so many different ways, the soldiers, they try to kill Prahlad. That they stab him with weapons, they give him poison, they drop him from the mountaintop, they have elephants trample over him. Even though in the Bhagavatam it's not mentioned, but in some of the Puranas it's mentioned that that Hiranyakashipu also had a sister by the name of Holika. And she had this mystic power that she could enter into fire and be unharmed by it. So she took Prahlad and entered into fire. And unfortunately for her, she got burnt, and Prahlad came out unscathed. So, like I said, this pastime is not in the Bhagavatam; it's in one of the Puranas, which is said to be the beginning of the tradition of Holi. And so, when Hiranyakashipu is seeing that Prahlad Maharaj is simply invincible, that he cannot be killed, he begins to experience something that he has not experienced in a very long time, which is fear. So Hiranyakashipu's his highest expectation was to become immortal, and because of that he had performed so much austerities, asked for all these boons. Now he sees that his son is naturally immortal. He's just 5 years old. He has not performed any austerities, not performed any penances, but he simply can't be killed. So he begins to fear that, will this boy be the cause of my death? Should I personally go and kill him? But he's reluctant to do so because at one level, he's the father. And even though he has been ordering the execution of his son through ghastly ways, but he still doesn't want to kill him with his hand. And at another level, he's scared. He understands that this personality is powerful beyond his imagination. So he does not want to bring matters to a head where he tries to kill Prahlad and Prahlad kills him. So when he's going through this dilemma, the teachers, they come back again. And they say that we will try again. He's just a 5-year-old boy. We don't know the source of his power, but we are Brahmins. We also have that power. We have the power of the scriptures and the literature. So we will go and we will make sure that he becomes favorable to you. So Hiranyakashipu says, okay, take him. So Shanda and Amarka, they take Prahlad, and now they give him the full treatment. Morning to evening, they're talking about the glories of Hiranyakashipu, the glories of the material world, the responsibilities, social responsibilities, political responsibilities. And Prahlad is respectful to them. Quietly, he sits and listens to them. So once it so happened that Shand and Amar, they had to leave. So when they left, then Prahlad, he collected all the students who were sons of other demons, and he started preaching to them. This is the third segment of Prahlad's teachings. And to them, he talks about the need to take to devotional service as soon as possible. So he presents a very logical and a graphic view. He says that person lives for 100 years, and then he says, as a child, it is wasted. As a youth, it is wasted as a child, it is wasted in pursuit of knowledge that is useless. As a youth, it is wasted in passion. Then as a middle-aged man, it is wasted in maintenance of the family. And then as an old person, the body is feeble, the mind is feeble, and the life is wasting anyway. So he says, don't wait for any appropriate moments to take to bhakti. When is the right time to take to bhakti? He says is now. Whether you are 5-year-old or 95-year-old. Now is the right time to take to bhakti. So these teachings of Prahlad Maharaj are very often quoted to refute the varnashram. It's more of a misguided varnashram concept where people say that Varnashram says that first 25 years you're a brahmachari, then you're a grahastha, and then after 50 years you should start transitioning over to spirituality, and then by 75 years you should be devoting more of your time to spirituality. The problem with that is that if all your life you have lived in a certain way, then it is very difficult to change your life later on. And so Prahlad says that when you're young, your senses are strong, your vitality is strong. At that time, it is easier for you to fight the onslaughts of Maya. Just like strong horses, if they're unbridled, they can take you to another direction. But if they're properly reined, they can quickly take you to the correct direction. And then he teaches them about the angas of bhakti. So then the friends ask that, where have you learned all this? And that's when Prahlad, he reveals an important aspect. He says that I learned it in the womb of my mother from my guru, Narad Muni. Which is why every time Hiranyakashipu would ask Prahlad, what have you learned? He would talk about, so he was truthfully answering the question. Because this is what he had learned from his guru in his ashram. Now, one of the questions that is asked is that Narad Muni was preaching to both Kayadu as well as Prahlad. In fact, he was preaching more to Kayadu. Prahlad was in the womb and it could be understood that he was covered, but Kayadu was not. But we don't see Kayadu becoming a pure devotee. And we see a different trajectory for Prahlad. So just want to, okay, I think we may not have time. I thought we could have a discussion on this. But the question is asked that why not Kayadu? Why Prahlad? And the answer that is generally given is that while Kayadu was with Narad Muni, she was leading a very spiritual life, and she was enjoying it. But then she took to the association of Hiranyakashipu, her husband. So this is the power of good and bad association. Prahlad, he never took the association of his father. He was giving him his association. But Kayadu, because she was his wife, she was affectionate towards him. So while she was serving him, while she was spending time with him, she was taking his association, and because of the influence of his association, all the teachings of Narad Muni were driven away from her. So Prahlad says that this is why I know this is why I remember. So when Shand and Amag witnessed this, they became alarmed. So they took Prahlad back to the palace of Hiranyakashipu, and they said, we tried our best, but it doesn't seem to be working. And Prahlad is now, he's preaching to the other boys. So Hiranyakashipu now is very angry. So he takes out his sword, wanting to kill Prahlad. One of the questions that is asked over here is, why is Hiranyakashipu now trying to kill Prahlad? Why did he not kill him the last time? And the understanding is that so far, Prahlad, he was displaying devotional qualities within himself. So Hiranyakashipu did not like it, but in a manner of speaking, the problem was contained. right? So if there is a person who is sick and if he's quarantined, then you may be worried about the person, but the problem is contained. But if that sick person is running around crowded areas, then the problem is magnified many times over. So Hiranyakashipu saw that now Prahlad is not just a singular threat, but he has the ability and potency to infect countless numbers of people with his sickness, which is Krishna Prema. So this is one of the greatest fear of the asuras, the preachers, that devotees in themselves, they may be averse to, but they're most averse to preachers because they have this ability to start the avalanche of bhakti. That if they preach to one person and the person becomes favorable and he preaches to two people and they preach to two more people, and then there is a wave of Krishna consciousness that spreads around the universe. That is the greatest fear of the asuras. And that is why Lord Nrsinghadeva is considered to be the protector of, specifically for preachers. He is the protector of devotees, but specifically of preachers. Because when Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlad Maharaj was preaching, now he became convinced that he needs to kill him as soon as possible. And then the famous conversation happens that, who is this Lord that you're constantly praying? And Prahlad says, he's Lord Vishnu, he's everywhere. So if he's everywhere, he's in this pillar. Yes. So then he strikes the pillar. And from within the pillar appears Lord Nrsinghadeva. So when Hiranyakashipu sees Lord Nrsinghadeva, he is more surprised than afraid, because he has never seen a creature like him. He is half man, half lion. Nrsinghadeva is when he appeared, he was hundreds of feet tall, and he was wearing all kinds of jewels and armor. His face was fierce and effulgent. And Hiranyakashipu is like, who is this? Where has he come from? So even when Hiranyakashipu is killed by Lord Nrsinghadeva, he still does not accept him as Lord Vishnu, which is why he is forced to take birth again. Because the scriptures say that when Lord Vishnu kills somebody, then the person gets liberation. So why did Hiranyakashipu not get liberation? Because he never accepted that the personality who was before him was the personality of Godhead. And then there is this famous battle that happens. And Lord Nrsinghadeva, for a while, he toys with Hiranyakashipu, just like he toyed with Hiranyaksha. So they're fighting, and each one of them is displaying the strength of their arms. And then finally, the twilight time appears. So at this time, Lord Nrsinghadeva, he easily catches Hiranyakashipu and puts him on his lap. And with his nails, he disembowels him. So he tears his abdomen apart, and then pulling out his intestines, he makes it a garland for himself. So in this way, he honors all the benedictions that Brahma had given. So he kills him at a twilight time when it is neither day nor night. He appears as half man, half lion. So he is neither man nor animal. he appears he kills him with his nails, which is neither living nor dead. So the nails appear from living, but they are not living. He kills him on his lap, which is neither the ground nor the sky. So when he kills them, there is jubilation all around. The devas are happy. Lord Brahma is happy. But Lord Nrsinghadeva, he is still not appeased. He is still extremely angry. So angry that the devas are scared to come in front of him. So, and there are two flavors of this pastime, which the acharyas say is because they happened slightly different in different kalpas. So in one kalpa, the devas, they turn to Lakshmi Devi and say that you are his wife. Regardless of how angry a husband is, the wife can always appease him. So Lakshmi Devi, she does not say anything to Lord Nrsinghadeva. She simply goes and sits on his lap. And of course, that has the desired effect, that Lord Nrsinghadeva, he gives up his anger. And his mudra becomes one of benediction. So that's how we have Lakshmi Nrsinghadeva that we pray to. And in another kalpa, Lakshmi Devi refuses. She says, I'm not going there. So she herself is reluctant. Acharya says, why is she reluctant? Because even though Lakshmi Devi is a pure devotee, she's the eternal consort of Nrsinghadeva, but she still has traces of pride in her. So what's the pride? That my husband is angry and all the great personalities in the universe are over here. If I go and try and appease him and he doesn't get appeased, if he chastises me, then I will lose respect. So she still had that traces of pride. So she says no. She says, I've never seen him before. And of course, just like Lakshmi Devi is eternal, the form of Nrsinghadeva is also eternal. Lord Nrsinghadeva resides in a planet in Vaikuntha with Lakshmi Devi, his eternal consort. So there, of course, the understanding is, it's not that she's lying, but she's creating this appropriate environment for the devotee of Nrsinghadeva, Prahlad Maharaj, to be glorified. So what follows is, of course, now the beautiful prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, which we will do next time. But what happens now is that the devas, they turn to Lord Brahma. He turns to Prahlad and he says, you go. And Prahlad Maharaj, he has no sense of pride. So he's like, if Nrsinghadeva beats me up, so be it. If he chastises me, so be it. So he is not inhibited. So the devas are inhibited by fear. Lakshmi Devi is inhibited by pride. Brahma is inhibited by the knowledge that he has made a mistake. So he's inhibited by his guilt. Prahlad Maharaj has none of this inhibitions. He is like, he's my Lord, whatever he does is fine. And that's, he will approach Nrsinghadeva. And next time we will see the wonderful exchange between Lord Nrsinghadeva and his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. So I'll stop here, see if there's any discussion.
Hari Bol Prabhu. I thought the prayer you did in the beginning, Prahlad's prayer, so appropriate for this current time of ours. The meaning was so perfect. Just a mention.
You're right. Actually, interestingly, when 9/11 happened, then there was this invitation, because there was so much of stuff going on. So there was in Washington, D.C., a convention held in which all the leaders of the world religion came together to pray. And Ravindra Sarup Prabhu, he represented ISKCON over there. And he actually recited this verse over there at the time. And it was very much appreciated.
Gosh, we all have to repeat it so many times. That's how perfect it is for this.
Yeah. I will. It's in the 5th canto. I'll send the verse and the translation out. Yes. Okay. So if there are no comments, then we can chant one round.
One thing, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The class is very, very satisfactory to heart, Prabhuji. I'm very much touched by the class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. One question, Prabhuji, like sometimes when these demons perform austerities, not just demons, like when somebody, great personality, performs austerities, at that time, when he controls his breath, or because of his austerities, how the whole world will be disturbed, Prabhuji, when Diti, she controlled her, pregnancy, not to deliver the boys, then also universe is disturbed. How, like this one person's controlling himself will affect the universe, Prabhuji?
I don't know, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Vikas here. So, one quick question, Prabhuji. In the last chapter, like on the Sunday's class, like we covered this fight between killing of Hiranyaksh, right? So, Sachijeevan had a good question which I kind of like didn't have answers to, that between these 3 different births of Jai Vijay, like where does like they go back in between those times? That like first they come as like Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, then they come back later as Ravana and the other time, right? So in between time, like, do they go back to Godhead, or like they go somewhere else?
There are 2 possible explanations. There's no conclusive answer, because I don't believe it's explicitly mentioned. But there are two possible scenarios. I believe one of them is given by Jiva Goswami, and he says that Jay and Vijay, they actually had expanded into these personalities. So they never personally fell, and he gives reasons that devotees of the Lord never fall, etc., whatever. So he says that they don't actually, so Jay and Vijay don't fall, but they expand into these personalities. And then when they're killed, then the expansions are gone until the next time happens. Another explanation is that they're basically held in Shushupti, which is, closest understanding is like suspended animation. So they definitely don't go back to Godhead, because only when Shishupal is killed, he goes back. In the final incarnation. Yet another understanding is that not all the appearances of these demons are Jai Vijay. Right? Because it's unreasonable to expect that Jai Vijay are going to get cursed over and over again. So yes, they do get cursed and they fall, but not all the Ravans and Kumkarans and Hirnaksh and Hiranyakashipus are Jai Vijay. In some cases, they're actual full-on bona fide demons who are killed by the Lord, and they achieve the destination that, whatever destination they deserve, they achieve that destination. So not a conclusive answer, but different possibilities given by the acharyas.
Okay. No, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I think we got misunderstood that when Brahma was like appreciating Hiranyaksh because of like he was being touched by the Lord and his body was still effulgent, like even after killing and all, like we thought like maybe like he got liberated, but he was not, right? So that, at least that clarity is there now. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Right. This point again is made by Jiva Goswami, that Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu did not accept Varadev and Nrsinghadeva to be the Lord. Ravan and Kumkaran, they did not accept Ram as Lord. Shishupal did. So when Shishupal always did. So he, even though he was envious, he always understood the position of Krishna. And when he saw the Sudarshan Chakra coming, then it also burned away his envy at that time. Which is why Yudhishthir, he witnesses the soul of Shishupal entering into the lotus feet of Krishna. And that starts the whole conversation that appears in the Bhagavatam. That how could Shishupal have entered the body of Krishna when great yogis aspire, great devotees aspire? And then Nal Muni talks about the mentality of Shishupal, etc. So that's the understanding, that's why they kept taking birth. Of course, there is the curse also that limits it to 3, but kind of everything substantiates one another.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat Pranam. Just related to that question, actually, after that one, I was trying to see if there is any response given in somewhere, and I found something in Chaitanya Bhagavatam, where Mukunda was being chastised by Mahaprabhu, saying that he used to mingle with the Mayavadis, and the result of that. And one of the example was given there that when the demons get killed by the Supreme Lord, they normally go to the Brahma Jyoti. So is that kind of in a generic kind of situation that any demon who get killed by the Supreme Lord goes to Brahma Jyoti? I mean, in this particular case, when Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they are killed, they didn't get that destination, which is normally called as liberation.
Right. So yes, this is discussed actually in the 3rd canto, in the conversation between Uddhav and Vidura, and where Uddhav mentions, he says that I am so fallen that even the soldiers of the Kauravas, they went back to Godhead, but Krishna didn't allow me to go back to Godhead. And the commentary over there says that yes, because they were killed by the Lord, they went back to Godhead. But the caveat is always there, because unless one accepts the position of Krishna, they cannot go back. Because even Uddhav says that after having been purified by the arrows of Arjun, because they died, they were not even killed by Krishna, they were died in the presence of Krishna, but they went back to Godhead. So what does it mean that after having been purified by the arrows of Arjun? And the commentators say that because they were appreciating at the time of death the position of Arjun, not even Krishna, they were appreciating the position of Arjun, that was sufficient for them to be liberated. But that appreciation has to be there. There has to be an appreciation for the Lord or his devotees.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Whoops. I had a question. And this was who is not on mute? Seema, your phone is not on mute.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, my question was related to what the statement that you made, that that not always Jai Vijay are, come as demons. Some demons, they appear, as original demons. So where exactly is that stated? Is it some Vaishnavacharya who's given an explanation of that kind? Because I've never, this is the first time I'm hearing that, and I'm sure it's bona fide, but I just want to know.
So I heard this in a lecture. I actually don't remember who spoke that lecture. It's been a while. I'll try and search for the source. Yeah, I don't remember who spoke that lecture.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so there are no more questions. We can chant one round, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So if you can unmute yourself, and we can start with our chanting. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Shani Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Shani Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Shani Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Shani Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Shani Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Shani Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Shani Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Shani Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna